All right. Good morning. Thanks for joining me. And let's get started. I know you love this view of my black. All right, today we are going to start off talking about sassy habits, why they are sassy, and what they are. Oh, every time I lay down, I want to stretch. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. Okay, sassy habits. We actually came up with seven of the sassy habits. And now let's see if I can remember them. Um, I am, we did them all as I ams. Be cool if I could remember them, huh? If I had come on. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just talk about sassy habits because I remember. A lot of them, are just kind of regular things that you want to have become a part of your character. So, um, yeah, I'm not going to remember all seven of them, but I do remember one of them is I'm rested. And this is a really, really important one. And it's definitely the one I've been focusing on the last 5 years. Even when we did the the program, which is still there if you want to do it, there's a lot of, I mean, that we did a lot of videos about it and just talked about the processes of doing that. But this actually would have been one of the exercises that you could do during the rest phase. So technically, I guess I'm still focused on that. It's not during your rest time, but if you are someone who has had a lot of health issues and you haven't been in a position to be able to do a lot of exercising, and maybe you're mad at yourself, or you could be on the other end of the spectrum where you're forcing yourself to exercise, even though it's not helping you, it's actually making things worse for you. Now, there is a lot of truth that your body needs movement, and we know that there are tons of benefits to exercise. But when you're coming from a place of extreme, like if you have low mobility, if you have poor health in general, then you're going to want to start out with something more gentle. So this is great. This is called a chi machine that you're seeing my feet wiggle on. It's a passive aerobic. Um, and it does, like I've watched it in real time after a meal, pull the blood sugar back down, blood sugar that was, heading for a spike. So it's just as good as a 10-minute walk after a meal. You do have to lay down on the floor for it. And for some people, that's going to be a bit of a barrier. So you're going to have to get a little bit tough and make yourself do it. But if you can't walk, like I've been in this position of people are like, go for a 10-minute walk. And I'm like, yeah, right. I can maybe last for five. Um, and if I try to go down to the stop sign by my house, then I'll probably have to call my husband to pick me up. Like that's how my mobility has been as far as walking. But this is very, very doable. And so anyway, obviously I'm not an exercise physiologist or a doctor. So if you are going to try something, um, check with your medical professional. I did check with mine, and he said, yes, this would be fine for you to do, even though, I mean, it might be, and it would be really actually possibly very helpful for your situation with your disc. So there you go. But okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about I am rested. So what does resting actually entail? Obviously sleep, right? And for many people, sleep is very, very difficult. And so you might have, there are different things that you can do to help yourself get your sleep. And some of them are like you have to deliberately turn off whatever it is that you're doing. and walk away. Now it's better, you'll get better sleep if you move away from your screens at least an hour before bed, and if you're not subjecting yourself to a lot of artificial light at night. That can also be very difficult. People who work at home, people who have projects, deadlines, different things like that. Like I understand all of that. Some of that, like you have to look at and give yourself permission to say, I'm not doing that in this season, or I'm going to wrap this up so that I can rest better, or I'm not going to spread myself so thin. And some of it you're going to have to just keep doing. I remember when we had 8 kids, all of them were minors, and 6 of them lived at our house. And I remember just feeling so overwhelmed and really like, wow, like, what am I going to take off of my plate? And my husband said that several times to me also. He's like, hun, you got to just take something off your plate. I'm like, who? Because I didn't feel like, I mean, at the time I was doing very little for myself, and everything was just wrapped up in one kid crisis or another, and it was really overwhelming. And so I understand that too. And I couldn't figure out like what to take off my plate, so I added one thing to my plate. And it was because someone who had told me about essential oils had told me just to sit and breathe frankincense. Just sit down and breathe frankincense for 3 minutes. So that's what I added to my routine to help myself to gain more rest in a season that was very not restful at all. Another thing I did is I got really committed to my supplements. Because if your body is like begging for sleep and rest and good nourishment and all of those things, then your cells are crying out for help. And so you've got to be able to offer that support. So getting on the supplements um, has just been a huge game changer for me. But even still, and I've been on the supplements now with my company for um, gosh, as long as they've been available. So like 15 years, 16 years, something like that. And they definitely made a huge difference. Like one of the first things I noticed was that my mood was better. I was getting much better sleep. Um, I didn't feel as stressed. Like it was easier for me not to be overwhelmed and stressed. And let's see, I said I rested better. My joints hurt less. I didn't realize how much joint pain I had even in my 30s. Uh, and so that was kind of surprising and really nice. Um, in fact, I did really good for a long time. It wasn't until my estrogen started to decline that I started really having a lot more of this hip issue. And so anyway, that's another big piece is like getting the right kind of supplementation. Another factor for rest is like resting your mind. So somehow being able to turn things off. And that again has been like essential oils have been so helpful for that, because like I'll put something in the diffuser at bedtime, something to open the airways and something to calm my mind. And I stopped having nightmares because I was always waking up and like panicking, looking around, trying to find the baby I'd lost or whatever, just like all this stuff. I just was really overwhelmed with all the children responsibilities that I had. And or I would also dream, Battlestar Galactica, alien invasion kind of dreams that from I just had, I guess, memories from my childhood when we watched Battlestar Galactica when I was a kid. But anyway, those kinds of things were gone, so then that helps to protect the rest as well when you get those things under control. But resting your mind. So making a moment, the 3 minutes to breathe in the oil was the best that I could do to begin with. But then if you also can incorporate a spiritual practice as you start to become more, and you could do it during the 3 minutes, right? You could pray, or meditate during your 3 minutes with your frankincense, that you have that moment to just kind of be still. And it's only 3 minutes, but it is something. And you can expand that, start to expand that, take 5 minutes, take 7 minutes. Uh, and then just watch how your world, your vibration starts to lift and things just start to change for you a little bit. So I'm sure you have some other suggestions of how to get the rest that you need when you're in a season of busyness. And so if you do, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And I will sign off and say thank you again for being here.